How much land do Black Americans own today in America in 2025?
So as of 2025, it's actually quite a bit less. Black Americans own under 1% of U.S. farmland, which is a big drop from those millions of acres back in the early 1900s. So it's definitely a big change over the century.
So what was the percentage of acres they owned back in 1915? If it's 1% today or less than 1%, how much percentage was it back in 1915?
Yeah, absolutely. So back around 1915, Black Americans owned somewhere around 14 million to 15 million acres, which roughly translated to about 14% of the farmland owned by African Americans at that time. So it was definitely a larger percentage of total land ownership compared to what it is today.
How much of Black land ownership was lost to eminent domain since that time?
So quite a bit of Black-owned land was indeed lost through eminent domain and other means. In fact, from around 1910 to the late 20th century, Black Americans lost over 90% of the farmland they once owned, and a good chunk of that was due to things like eminent domain.
How much of that was due to racial terrorism? Black folks being forced off their land, forfeit their land because of racial terrorism.
Yeah, for sure. A significant portion of that land loss was absolutely tied to racial terrorism and violence. Throughout the early 20th century, a lot of Black landowners were basically forced off their property due to threats, violence, and even lynchings. So it's definitely a big factor alongside eminent domain and other legal means. It's a really unfortunate part of the history.